Hey, Rohit, it's good to see you. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. For the folks that haven't met you, would you just tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so right now I'm a senior product manager at a fintech startup called Biz to Credit. I'm responsible for their overall loan journeys, and we do like almost 500 to 600 million dollars of loans that I'm responsible for directly. Um, so that's my current journey. And previously, I was a product manager in a cable company. I'm an engineer by education from one of the IITs back in India. I was in consulting for more than a decade. I was with SAP, Deloitte, Accenture, and I also have done my MBA from NYU Stern in my previous life.
Awesome, quite quite a lot of accomplishments under your belt. Tell me if so. Now I'm gonna rewind us back because I want to just really share with the folks that might be watching this like what your experience was. So tell me, going back before we even crossed paths, what would you say were some of your greatest challenges or frustrations that you were experiencing in your job at the time that caused you to seek out a solution?
Yeah, so looking back, I would say I was in a cable industry where we were not really driving innovative products. The goal of our main strategy group was to increase revenue from our video subscribers, sell more internet, grow more ARPU, which were all good. But then in terms of impact and that we were making on our base, I felt like I could be more impactful if I was in a different industry driving more innovative products. And I live in New Jersey, half an hour away from the financial hub of America. So, I was really interested in fintech because I have a major in finance from NYU Stern, and I also have a technology background with, for example, SAP, Deloitte, right? So my idea was to combine the two and provide more value, democratize access to capital. And I had a few impact ideas of my own. Right. So I was trying to pivot to fintech industry overall, where I could, leverage my skills and, help out overall, like give back from my journey as well. Right. So that was what I was trying to pivot to. Some of the frustrations you mentioned were, I was applying through LinkedIn directly, right. And not really getting a response, right, because there were some dings already against me. Like I didn't really had a financial experience, even though I had all the educational, high watermarks, right? And I think, I was getting a lot of rejects. I was getting maybe, 2% times into the first round, or maybe, a few rounds. And then I think I was not able to tell the story in a way that the interviewer was looking for. Right. So I think there were a few challenges where I was applying, getting rejected, and the loop was causing me there was a point in my life when I was only doing like LinkedIn apply, taking easy shots where there's not a lot of investment, but then I was getting lower and lower diminishing returns. So
Got it.
just to name a few, it was like I was still trying, but it was not after those rejection loops, it was very, very random, not focused at all.
Do you remember at the time? I know it's like some time ago, but do you remember how that was making you feel?
I was feeling very, I was feeling like I have all these brand names against me, right? And it was feeling I was feeling worthless at some points in the sense that I can't achieve what I want to achieve. I can't, there was a financial hit I was taking by not being in this industry that I can be. And I think it was affecting my overall work as well. And I think it was spilling over in my personal space as well, where I was not able to achieve my goals when all of my other colleagues and friends were progressing ahead in their career.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So do you remember like what pushed you over the edge to join us?
Yeah, so I distinctly remember, I was always like, I was a good reader, avid reader. So I would read Medium, for example. That is one of my platforms of choice. I saw a post from Shobit around, how to pivot from consulting to product manager. And, I've recently pivoted after my MBA from consulting to product manager, and it was primarily a growth PM. Like a junior PM kind of a deal when I had a lot more experience under the belt, right? So the post actually talked about, how consulting professionals undersell themselves going into a product management role, right? When we have the skills of the customer empathy, putting the customer's point of view in there, I think that's a critical skill as a consultant that you develop. So I think that really spoke to me in a sense. Like there was a line around riding the horse and not letting the horse ride you, and not underselling it like you. So there was kind of a sales pitch as well in there. So I wasn't 100% sure if it's worth it for me. But I learned more. There was a free video. I listened to it. I felt like Shobit actually is talking about something that I have gone through, and he might be somebody who can help me get over the line. So I think that was one of the drivers to get there.
Okay, that's very helpful. Do you remember after you've kind of early days of the program, perhaps what a early aha moment was? Like anything to mind?
Yeah. So I think one of the key moments for me was, so just taking a step back, right? When I joined, within a week, I realized that it's not just about, brushing up your stories, how you tell them, or, which shots to take or which roles to apply for. But I think it was a more mindset oriented approach, in a sense that, like I mentioned, I was not focused. I was doing randomized, application after the dejection loop, rejection loop. So, I think the first thing I remembered was my call with the mindset coach. And, we focused to get it back to where it wasn't me who was the cause of the problem. It was just the process of getting to a better place where, I was talking the language of the interviewer and, telling my stories effectively. There were like 10 things, concrete things that I could work across and, come out and look for a better outcome, right? So to me, looking at it holistically and not just, getting a job, that was the first aha moment for me, right? That don't think of it like a LinkedIn easy apply, right? You have to be in a positive mindset, get to a position where I can visualize myself at a Google, at an Amazon, at a fintech, doing the role that I really want to do, and then coming out from a position of power. To me, that was one aha moment. I'll tell you one more, which also I realized in the first or second week was, some of the frameworks that Shobit and you talked about. For example, the 3 points, right? One of the personal struggles around me, and that showed in the interviews as well, was, like the verbal diarrhea, right? Like I know so much, I want to communicate so much,
Right.
but it's not always the best approach to take, right? So what that helped me do is, structure my thoughts in 3 main things that I want to communicate. And that forced me to have clarity of why I'm saying it. What do I want to say to the other person? So to me, those were like, just big blocks that I had to work through and master it. I think that changed my whole dynamics of the job search itself. I was very intentional going through this program, and those were a few things that I was like, wow, this is not just getting a job. It's more professional and personal.
Oh, good. What was that? What was that feeling like, to feel like, oh, I've got someone on my side that gets me and is here helping me?
I mean, it was, I'll give you an analogy, right? I picked up tennis during COVID. I've never played tennis in India. I've never played in US, right? So almost 40 years, I live in New Jersey, never played tennis, right? And I wanted to pick up tennis. So like for a few quarters, I struggled because it was not a easy game to pick up, right? So then I decided I need a coach just to get the basics right? Like the hitting, the knocking, the serve. And that helped me tremendously. I mean, it was significant amount that I had to spend, and this is not a cheap sport. But when I came out of it, I was able to get to 60% of the shots that I was, at 5%, right? So the jump was huge to me, and the confidence it boosted for me, it was amazing. Like, and the more you practice after that, it wasn't like, oh, I can't hit, even 5% of the balls. I was able to hit 60%. Then that's a better place, and then incrementally grow from there. I thought of this program in a similar vein. Like I wasn't, like I said, 2% of the applications that I was making, getting to the first round and higher rounds, that was a massive opportunity leaking bucket for me, right? But when I went through this program, I want to say within a few weeks, maybe a month later, I saw recruiters reach out to me rather than the other way around. So I think the directional changes were significant to me. I talked about the mindset approach. To me, that was coming from a position of power, because I felt more prepared. I felt more confident in my stories, and I would credit mindset to that as well, right? So I felt like I can definitely do this, and I think I had the support of you guys, and more than you guys, I think not just the two of you. There's a network of mentors, right? So I was able to leverage them. Like when I would fail in an interview, I would go back to them and like practice it more, see what I'm lacking. Also, there were peers, right, who would help me analyze where I'm lacking and help it in a genial way. So I think having this network behind my back, I think acted like tailwinds that really helped me deliver the 10x impact for my career that I was looking for.
Thank you for sharing that. And actually, speaking of that 10x to your career, so fast forwarding through the program, and then now, like, I'd love to hear, share a win, or big or small, that that you've had because of going through this.
Yeah, so the big win was I was able to convert to an industry that I was struggling for at least 2 to 3 years, right? So that was significant, and I was able to get to 60%, 60 to 70% more compensation wise. That was just something I could measure. And also the industry vertical that I wanted to be in, I am surrounded with people. Like I'm managing at least 20 times the portfolio that I was managing at LTs, right? So bigger responsibilities. I'm managing 4 junior product managers, so I have a larger team. I have a lot more support in this role that I wanted, and I think that is just from the net from the objectives what I signed up for. But I think there were other wins as well for me personally. Like I'm able to network better. I'm always looking in a personal life as well. Like I think there's just structuring my thoughts, communicating better, looking for networking in a way where it's a bi-directional value exchange, and I can go on and on. Just the mindset, I think that's more than 40 to 50% of the win that I had. So I think it was definitely worth investing in a coach, from my mindset, what I could achieve.
Awesome, thank you for sharing that. Like thinking through this program, and you've shared pieces of it, but I'm wondering, like, how would you describe this program in your own words?
Yeah, so to me, this program is where people were invested in my success, right? So like I signed up for Exponent, I signed up for a bunch of other programs, right? But the monetization model there is you pay for a coach. They're separately, even if there's a low entry point. So there's 1,000 cuts, right, that you pay for. But here in the program, I felt like incentives are aligned for my coaches to be invested in my success, right? I felt like there was no nonsense questions. There were no like that I couldn't ask stupid questions. I could ask even personal questions like should I apply for this role? I mean, even though like I could really go to them with any question and get an answer with the trade-offs. To think through, right? In the end, the decision was always mine, but the way the program is structured, I think the coaches' incentives are aligned, the peers' incentives are aligned. It's so analogical. Like when I reached out to a few alums of this program, just like my Stern alums, right? They're more than happy to help out, share information. For example, I reached out to a few Amazon alums, Google alums, like some of the metrics I was struggling with in my interviews, what to do, how to tell the story better. They were more than happy to pick up the phone, talk to me, help me out. So I think the program is structured in a way that people in it feel proud of it, and they want to kind of pay it forward for the future generation, right? So I thought that was pretty interesting. I've not found many programs apart from Stern MBA and IIT. So I thought this was definitely a lasting legacy that you guys are building. A few other things I would mention is I think apart from the coaching, like there's a lot of videos that are generated. The practice, for example, if for example Google changed for Google Cloud the format, right? So there's a um, quick return in terms of what we should expect in those processes, right? There are also so overall I would say there's product design sessions which I think were low pressure in a sense that I could really brainstorm, right? There was like, come up with 10 ideas and then, explain why, how I would pick two and why, right? So I think that low pressure, safe space that you create really helps with during, real interviews, right? Because we have kind of already gone through those thought processes 10 times. So we're not doing the trial and error in real interviews, right? Doing it in a safe space in the mock interviews with coaches, with peers, getting feedback, and then getting ready for the real interview. So we're much more prepared and probabilistically coming out on a better end, looking at better outcomes with those interviews. So the way the program is structured, I think, the incentives are aligned. You don't have to worry about, getting interviews. It took me more than 6 months to get where I am, right? So every time if I have to pay for booking a coach, that would have been, costed me a fortune. So that's what I meant by, incentives are aligned. It's not like, the money, it's about the community, the network that you guys are building. So I felt that was really positive.
Thank you. That's a great summary. Who is this program for in your opinion? You described like your own journey, but
yeah, I would say anybody who wants to move from consulting, for example, to product. I have done that path, right? So specifically, I think anybody moving from consulting to product, this is a very, very helpful program because, it's a different mindset, right? You're pleasing the customer, right? As a consultant, but as a product manager, you are being ruthless with what to build, why to build, with limited amount of money that you have, right? You're the CEO of the product with no authority. So, you're building relationships across the organization, and you're being ruthless on how you are prioritizing the vision, the roadmap, and the execution piece of it, right? Just being relentless on that and, accountable for those, right? So to me, anybody moving the jump from consulting to product, definitely highly recommend. But I think anybody trying to enter into product management space, whether, at a junior level, at a senior level, or at the leadership, like staff level or group level, I think there are things that this program teaches me and can potentially help them is, the leadership principles as well, right? It's not just about, building products or, building the features and functions. I think when I went through the program, right, it taught me about really leading and owning the product space, right? It's not just about the building piece, which is execution, it's important. But to me, what I really came out of it was having the confidence to articulate my vision, to defend my vision, to crystallize it. So I would say it is helpful for any leaders trying to get to the next level, or who are not able to share the vision, right, with the teams, or who don't have the confidence or the courage to ruthlessly prioritize things, right? So I think this program actually gives you that confidence, because you can do those exercises with a safe environment and say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and why, and how are we going to get out of there? Get challenged internally, so that you don't have to do that in front of your team. So to me, it'll be very helpful for anybody who's trying to move to the leadership space, or trying to do some A/B testing before doing with the real people, right? So to me, anybody in product space, whether trying to get in or move up the ladder, or across just trying to get through, I think this program is a really good help.
Awesome, thank you. That's very helpful. I guess last question. You mentioned speaking to some of our alumni kind of during this process, and now as an alumni, like I would love for you to share like a message for maybe someone who's checked out the program but didn't sign up. Like, what do you think you would tell them?
Yeah, I would say you have to invest in yourself, right? Like, I'll tell you, like from my story, when I was doing my MBA, I was always struggled with ROI, right? So I spent good 120 grand on that program. I was like, what am I gonna get out of it, if any? How do I measure that? Because that's sunk cost, right? But then, when you look at it, you're investing, like I invested in myself, right? The thought process, the network you build out of it, so you have to think about investing in yourself, because if you don't invest in yourself, why would anybody else do it, right?
Mhm.
Similarly, if I'm trying to do something, I was trying to change verticals, for example, in my case, or if you're stuck in a place, right, you need help for somebody to pull you out of that rut and help you get to a better place. If you're not asking for help and willing to commit to it, I don't think anybody else would help you there, right? So I think take the shots. There is a ROI component to it. I'm not promising that everybody will get it, because just like an MBA in this program, what you put in it, you will get out of it, right? So it's
Mhm.
not like a quick get rich scheme, but you have to do the work. But the structure is in place, the system is in place, people are invested in your success, and you can't ask more than that, right? So, but this is a commitment to invest in yourself that I believe I want to get there, right? If
Mhm.
you're serious about it, it's a no-brainer, right? You need a
Mhm.
coach to help you get there. That's all I'll say.
Cool. I really appreciate it. Well, thank you for speaking with us, and best of luck in your new role.
Thank you.